Yeah, I've been watching the stream. Some really cool games. Land's showing up super hard, but Zelo just barely taking the win on that last game. That was pretty exciting.
Here we go into game one already. On Mammoth Fortress between Sir Roland and Hattori.
Probably start Brawlhalla, huh?
That would be a great idea.
Alright, I'm in.
Alright.
Alright.
So both players are going into it.
Logec versus TB.
Yep, Logec. Ooh, gets that double D-Light Cider, already puts TB into the yellow. Ooh, another D-Light Cider, just preventing TB from recovering. Ground Pound actually comes out, tries to go for a downer, and the recovery actually clips TB, forces him to get back onto the stage, and TB took a great amount of damage trying to just get back on the stage there. Weapon toss into Cider, doesn't end up connecting, but Logec taking a decent lead in this match. Ooh, waits him out, but ended up getting hit by that Cider. Goes for that GC side stick to be able to get as much damage on the Logec as possible, but Logec gets hit by the D-Light Cider of zone.
Great ground pound. We're seeing like a lot of the damage being exchanged on the side right here. Like specifically Logec got like almost all of his damage just from edge guarding on that stock.
TB goes in
see
for a
if TB can get better at recovering, I guess.
Logec goes in.
Not TB, because TB like
Oh,
way too much damage.
Oh yeah, I know, but I was just like starting my usual like play-by-play thing. But Logec goes in for the ground pound, actually connects with it. Goes in for the second ground pound, doesn't actually work out either. And TB, but he goes in for the side air. Has the sword in hand. I wouldn't be surprised to see him throw, but instead goes for a side air, gets punished by a recovery from TB. TB rolling with this lead right now. D-Light Cider comes out from Logec, but the weapon toss doesn't actually connect, and TB makes it back. Yes, he does. The recovery doesn't actually end up having any real knockback, and TB is almost put Logec into the red on his second stock.
Now, Logec is like really struggling in just like the normal neutral game when they're both in center stage. Like he can't seem to do very much. Like he does get the kill, but he's already in red. TB is just like dominating when they're in center stage. But Logec is proving me wrong once he picks his lance up.
Logec holding onto the lance here. Toss. Who gets that neutral air? TB dodges past the other neutral air, however, and gets that down air. Puts him to the red. The neutral sig coming out doesn't actually kill him with any of those frames. Dodges past that ground pound, and a side sig sends him flying.
Really close. Yeah, dude, Logec just picked that lance up, and then suddenly he was trading super favorably. But now we see him unarmed again, and I think bully him a little bit.
Yeah, not to mention when TB's got the spear, he's so consistent with being able to get those D-Light Ciders into some creative follow-up, but that D-Light Cider from Logec actually ends it as well, and he evens up 1-1 without taking too much damage on this last stock.
That was pretty good from Logec. Still a very close game now. Both of these players have had like tons of chances to take massive leads, but then it just gets like pushed back. Like we see Logec again with this lance, just completely decimating TB's gameplay.
Ooh, that ground pound actually coming out in the middle of the air, catching TB off guard. TB goes for that D-Light, but doesn't work out. Side air, however, ends up punishing him. Logec goes for a reverse downlight. I feel like that was a misinput, and TB showing off a GC neutral sig ends up getting punished by a neutral air from Logec. Logec goes for that weapon toss into the neutral air, or neutral light rather, unarmed, tosses the bomb away, holds onto the sword, goes for the baseball bat, doesn't quite work out on TB, doesn't get the nair follow-up, and gets killed by the recovery.
Yeah, down air to recovery. Works at every percent if you hit at the correct place, but with them being at deep red, you see he down airs that like 2 jumps up, and it still hits the recovery follow-up. That's very cool KO from Logec. EV though playing very good. This is a very close game 1. Could definitely go either way for game 2.
Yeah, that down air recovery definitely catching TB off guard as Logec takes game 1 in this losers quarters match. We've spent coming in saying Canada versus not realizing that it is a tournament.
Have you seen TB play anything other than Hattori?
There it is.
It
yep.
Like he's
Bodvar is the
Bodvar.
Yep, it's the other legend that he was playing earlier in the tournament, actually bringing out a win against. No, that's how he ended up losing out of winner semis. That's right, because he switched over to Bodvar. But he's played Hattori and Bodvar. He's more of a sword legend main than he is a legend main in particular, and that's what he's comfortable with. But I've seen him do a decent amount of damage with the hammer as well. Logec really open up with the unarmed, dodges out of the way of the downer, puts the mine off the stage, not even opting to trade, and the first damage is dealt by a weapon toss. Both players not really fighting anything, but there's the neutral air. Recovery coming out from TB into a neutral air. Holds onto the sword. tries to do something with the side airs, and he's actually connecting quite a bit. Logec still doing unarmed, but it gets 2 neutral lights in a row into his side air, and Logec putting a decent amount of damage onto TB's Bodvar compared to what TB has done to Logec.
Yeah, pretty, still just being really equal in terms of back and forthing right now. I really like this Legend matchup because they're so similar. Like the differences are basically confined to stats. Hammer and Lance are both very similar weapons in terms of how often people just use them for throwing and stuff. But I feel like these Legends, watching them fight, it's so cool because it's very skill based and the differences are very minute. And we still see these guys just like bolt that red.
Yeah, but there's the scoop. Ooh, another down air might do it, but that one barely not killing Logec, holding onto the Lance. Goes for the weapon toss into the recovery, but the recovery doesn't connect, and TB's able to punch with the down air into a side air. Weapon toss actually forces Logec to dodge through it, and he doesn't have his jumps. He can't make it back.
And there it is. Yeah, the other big difference is Sir Roland having the 8 defense. You saw him surviving that dare when it looked like he shouldn't. Looks like he might return the kill here with a ground pound.
No, but nice TB actually makes a nice dare, tipping the edge of Shipwreck to be able to get his jumps back, and makes it past that ground pound.
This Hammer doing some work before dying. He does lose his stock, but he got Logec down to deep yellow first, so he's pretty happy with that stock.
Logec goes in for a downer into a recovery. Downer comes out once again. Logec hits him with that sidelight into a neutral light. Goes for the baseball bat. Doesn't quite connect, but both stocks are pretty even. TB hits him with the D-light cider. Tries to go in for a ground pound follow-up, but Logec makes it through back on the center stage and hits him with the neutral air. Tries to get him with the neutral air. Both players are just exchanging moves in the air. If one neutral air hits, the other person hits with the recovery. And it seems to favor TB at the moment, but that down air into recovery will actually make it even once again. And both players just playing almost at the exact same pace. Yeah, TB is landing more moves than Logec, but Logic's landing the moves that he needs necessary to keep the damage even. And that is the big deal here. Ooh, both players going for down sigs and neither one connecting. And it's quite close. Cider connects. TB goes for the downer. That'll do.
There it is. Good edge guard by TB. Yeah, like TB's hitting more individual hits, but when Logec makes a hit, he's comboing it into other stuff. Like he's going for a lot of combo fishing, which is also making him a little bit predictable, and TB's abusing that a lot. Like you see him going for these raw recoveries because he knows Logec is trying to do the dare combo, the dare to recovery combo on sword.
Ooh, D-Light Cider
still
comes
very
out.
close. This is probably a kill right here.
Weapon toss comes out, but no, that down air goes for the ground pound, but Logec actually dodges through it, and TB doesn't end up getting that stock, but that down sig read actually works out, sends him into the orange, now into the red. Nair comes out, though, and kills him off the top for missing out on his down air, and Logec evens it up 1-1, but now it's not quite as close as it was before. Recovery comes out as Logec tries to land with a Nair. TB picks up the hammer, goes in for Cider's a scoop, sends it in further into the red. Weapon toss, however, interrupts whatever it was that he was trying to do. Another downer doesn't work out, but the neutral sig upon landing
Barrel finish it.
sends Logec flying, and
It's
TB
1-1.
takes game 2.
So we're going to a game 3. That's pretty exciting. These players are like really, really closely skilled. Like it's so hard to determine the outcomes of these games because they're just so even.
Panning out Black and Thunder.
But TB's gonna stick with his Bodvar. It did let him get the win that game, so it would make sense if he stuck with it.
And I haven't yet to see Logec
Okay.
do anything else other than use Sir Roland.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Logec ever play anything other than Sir Roland. I haven't seen him play much, but in the 2 tournaments I've casted with him, he's always played blue Sir Roland.
Here we go on the Mammoth once again. TB picks up the hammer. Logec actually gets punished by a downer neutral air. TB actually gets unarmed combat, goes for the neutral sig, gets punished by a neutral air or neutral light from Logec of his own, goes for the cider with a lance, and TB's actually running low and jumps, gets it back on the ledge, goes for that signature but doesn't quite work on. TB actually hits it with the sidelight, tosses the hammer away, wants to go for the sword, tosses the hammer away, and gets that sword down air into ground pound. Doesn't get any KO off of it though, and TB tries to punch with something, but Logec interrupts it with the neutral light.
Ooh, a good sword throw there might put him into an edgeguard scenario, but Okay, he didn't have to die there. If he didn't throw his weapon, he actually would have just gotten back fine.
Yeah, that was interesting. He didn't end up hitting the stage, and I think he's realizing his mistake the second that it happened. He's trying to make up for it quickly as he goes for a downer and recovery into a neutral air, but doesn't quite work out. Logec nearing kill percent, but I think he's going to need more than one sider to be able to end it. Goes for a ground pound, sends him into the platform of Mammoth Fortress. Logec gets hit by another down air. TB.
Yeah. He really needs to find a kill here because Logec isn't gonna roll in. He does find it though. Didn't take too much damage. Still a pretty close game. The weapon star of Logec or not. Logec has been doing really bad in getting weapons versus TB. Didn't take too much damage though. It is equalized, but
TB goes for a down air. Neutral lights put out Logec. Ooh, gets hit by the recovery. Logec goes for the weapon himself to actually dodges past that side stake. TB holds onto the sword and goes for his side light. Both players trading rather evenly here. D-Light Sider comes out, side light followed by Logec into a neutral air, sends TB deeper into the orange, nearly into the red. Neutral light will definitely do it, and Logec tries to go for a downside to cover TB's landing. TB's disarmed. Logec holding onto the sword, tries to go for a side air read, but doesn't quite work out. And TB gets hit by down airs, he tries to go for a weapon, finds the hammer, gets the scoop, goes to the neutral air. TB. It's nearing kill percent, but the match is
using the hammer now, and he's not trying to switch it out either. He wants to keep it for the KO potential, I guess.
And there's that stomp sider. But it doesn't actually work out because Sir Roland has so much defense. Goes for that sider once again. Roland holding out of the lance, goes for that signature, but doesn't quite work out. The burn actually puts TB further into the damage. It's only going to take Logec one kill to be able to end this. But that sider sends Roland flying, still not dead. Waits for a scoop. No, goes low and still doesn't get it. And the neutral air sends TB flying.
Yeah, neither player able to find a kill just yet. Both players easily in kill percent. The downlight combo will finish it off for Logec, but Logec does have a ton of damage on him.
Yeah, a sider from a hammer or sword will probably end up ending his stock. Holds onto the spike ball, tosses it into his face, just racking up even more damage. A sider unarmed might even do it. Downer is coming out from TB, goes for recovery. Downer has quite a bit of force itself, and a downer from a sword will definitely end Logec's stock as he evens it up 1-1.
And this game is on game 3. Last stocks, and it's still down to the wire. Both players just so equally matched, but Logec is finding this damage lead early in the stock. Can he convert?
Ooh, sidelight into ground pound into... Ooh, wow, Logec just gave up a stock there.
My god, what?
I guess
Logec didn't recover.